is off, and we're going to go in 3, 2, 1, and... Hello, welcome to G3. How are you today? Today is June 1st, 2015, and this is show number 46. 46, am I right? Am I right? Yes, I'm right, 46. I wrote it down because I always forget. Yeah, we are the people who happen to be women who talk about techie stuff and other stuff. Is that broad enough? I think it's broad enough.
Broad.
And I don't mean broad in that old sense of the female term that was sort of derogatory, but I kind of miss that word because you don't hear it anymore.
Frank Sinatra.
That's the New Yorker in you.
Okay, so my lovely co-host today in our Brady Brunch squares in the upper left-hand corner is the lovely Mary Hodder, straight
Hello.
from her shower. Hello, Mary.
Yep.
I called her out on that.
Yoga.
And well, you know, she's all yoga and all the things that I just don't get around to doing every day. Up in my upper right, Miss Hallie Suit Tucker from very cold Boston today.
It's freezing.
What
it's
the
so,
hell
it's
is going
48.
on? It's hot. It's cold. It's hot. It's
48.
cold.
I have a blanket on my
You're all.
lap.
Goodness.
Polar vortex is supposed to happen even in the summer.
And we're so
so
excited
cold.
that Francine even got a chance to visit with us today. Hello, Francine Hardaway.
Hello, it's 110 here, so maybe Hallie, we could split the difference.
I see. Yeah, you need to trade, or
That
you
is
need
for
to
sure.
blend. Okay.
You
And
don't need my blanket.
from I think sunny San Francisco today is Christy Wells. Hi, Christy.
Hi there.
Okay, well we're recording today on a rare Monday because we've got I've got some travel going on this week, so we're early. We're not usually in the beginning of the week. We're usually at the end of the week. The news is different then, so our rhythm is maybe going to be a little different today. We'll see. I have virtually no show notes, so we could go anywhere, ladies, and I know where we're not going. Because
Right.
we've all talked about that previously.
We're not going there.
We're not
but by
going
the way, your hair looks great.
Yes,
Oh,
your hair
my
looks
hair-
terrific.
Cute.
This is the, it's called the textured bob or something
Yep.
like that.
It's
I
excellent.
think it
Very
could be
cute.
maybe a little brighter, but okay,
Very
thank you.
cute.
Thank
Very
you.
nice. We
That's very
like.
nice. So
All right. Do you want me to start you off? Because I just got a piece of email from the information
Yeah.
telling me that Jawbone has laid off 20 employees. And I take it to mean that some of the unicorns are going to start to die slow deaths.
But Francine, I mean, how many employees does Jawbone actually have? Is this a big number for them?
No, it's like 5% of their workforce.
oh well, 5% is
5% is a
Significant.
sizable layoff. And when you count the fact that Fitbit just had an IPO and that the Apple Watch makes all of these trackers, wait, where's my tracker? It's under my blouse. There.
Here we go. Unbuttoning the blouse.
Yeah. This
careful.
Is this is the
Careful.
Misfit Shine. I
You
love
wear it all the time. You wear it
Yeah,
every day.
I do. I wear it all the time. And I've worn it since it came out. And I know other people who've worn the Fitbit and the Jawbone and the Nike Fuel Band, but they're never necessary anymore because of course,
The watch.
The
the
watch.
Right.
And I'm sure at some point during our hour, Francine will have to stand up because her watch tells her to.
I can tell you when,
This
because
is
it's
one of the
always 10 till the hour.
Oh, okay. Well, all right.
So I got 2 watches, one to put on each paw of my puppy.
Oh, I did see that.
Did you guys see that thing
Yeah.
that the Chinese billionaire guy got a watch for each leg of his puppy?
And not just a watch, but like the most expensive one, right?
No.
I think so.
I missed that piece of the
Crazy.
news.
And the Pebble watch is shipping.
Oh yeah, it's like on the internet. It's everywhere on the internet.
We've got a interesting little Hallie's out of sync suddenly.
Am I?
Or,
I can't
or
hear
you were
now.
for a second. You're back. Okay.
Okay.
Maybe it was my mistake. I don't know. Could be. Could be. I take the blame. I take the blame. It's all my fault. If anything goes wrong, it's all my fault. Right here. So,
So I believe
can
that
we
it's
make?
part of a larger movement.
Yeah. Do we make anything of this? A larger movement of
Just a lot of companies are going to run out of money this year.
implosion.
Implosion, right?
Did you guys see the Mary
Specifically-
Meeker?
Yeah.
Hang on one
What
second.
was that? That looked like we were doing oral surgery all of a sudden. What was that?
Oh, look how red Mary got. What?
That was Ed's hand.
That was interesting.
Hey,
Hey,
hey, Ed, get out of my shot.
get out of my. Hey, you get off my cloud. Listen,
Tell all your men to get out of my shot. Okay.
The Mary Meeker presentation had a slide about the death of unicorns and other things we love. And it was particularly what the funding was over from last bubble to now. And it was like very optimistic, like, no, it's not going to happen now. Did you guys see that? I was surprised.
But that's Mary Meeker. She's
Meaning?
always optimistic.
I don't
Well,
know. I've actually had a lot of conversations with people. I mean, obviously, in my own personal household, we're in a situation looking for funding for a business that we're doing too. So I hope that all these rumors about a bubble busting are not true. But honestly, I've talked to a lot of people. I've read a lot of articles. A lot of the VCs out there talking about it. They're like, yeah, there might be some regulating we need to do or some shifting of funds, but nobody that I know in my immediate circle actually feels like a bubble's going to burst. And it's interesting, and maybe it's fake sense of security or false sense of security, but I don't know. But I do have a lot of people also too that were independents that all went into big brands over the last year. So there is that shift that's been made, and so maybe they're just feeling a little more safe because they don't worry about where the next client's coming from.
And that's something that I take when the experienced hands start looking for jobs instead of starting companies. That tells me something. The information tells me something. The sale of Recode tells me something. There are just a lot of sort of leading indicators. Of course, media companies are going to be the first to have problems because their business model is unstable anyway.
Hallie, you were not here last show when we did talk about Recode and their sale to Vox.
Right.
Did you have any thoughts about that you want to share with us? I'm sure that you might.
I don't know what I could say since so much has been written since. This is like I've been reading like 1,000.
Well, the Hallie,
forecasts around it, and
The
a
Hallie
lot
angle.
of the sense that it was you can't make it as a tiny media play, that you can't. You have to be a big media MSM play, but they're not making it either. And if you're in between, then you're really dead. So a lot of this sense of they're consolidating so they can stay alive was a lot of consensus. On the other hand, I don't think we're even close to knowing what's happening. It's like we're really close up to seeing, it's sort of like you're sort of standing on the edge of Gettysburg looking at the first few soldiers falling. You don't know how bad it might get. And I think it's going to get a lot worse. And I think it's because they haven't figured out advertising. And all the data, too, in the Mary Meeker thing is like who people are advertising to and mobile advertising not. Ooh, she's got her, like, scary. What is that California police? They're highway police. What are they? CHP. Ah!
Chippies.
What?
Chippies.
Yeah, you got it. You got the style going,
Well, you
girl.
really-
But anyway,
you
the
need-
advertising solution, the advertising problem has not been solved by anybody. Any of the famous people who left to do their own famous media haven't solved it. The big media people haven't solved it. Nobody solved it. So,
And the consumers do not want it. As Mary said last week, and I went back and looked at everything, and I think I still have the right numbers, that it's 15% of people in the United States use an ad blocker on their browser, but on the other hand, 35% of the people in Europe do, and the growth of ad blockers is totally happening. So
Yeah.
the publishers are going to have even more problems.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting when you like, so you say Jawbone was laying off 5% of their workforce. Some of our friends over at Path, Dave Morin and his company. See, I wish I had all my props now. Tina's now donning some sunglasses.
I was,
But, I think our friends over at Path
Tail
just
was
sold
weaving
their
through the
business.
shot.
yeah, sorry about that. I'm
Christy,
going to
keep
try to,
talking.
that cat's never in this room and she's got to get out. So maybe Sound Boy will help us. Okay. Go. Oh,
I want to hear what
Wow.
you were saying, Christy. Keep going. I want to hear it. You were saying your friend.
Well, I think it's interesting. We've been talking about ad and advertising and media and the hits it's going to take, and it's over the last couple of weeks. I think that's been kind of a trend, and I do think that we are going to have to find new ways to get eyeballs. And for me, I think it's exciting because my world is in digital media, and so I'm looking at this as like taking that and creating really great experiences for customers instead of trying to sell them ads, give them really amazing products and services and experiences, and they will continue to stay with you and invest their money in you
Right.
because of that. And so for me, that's where I think a lot of the innovation will come over the next 5 years. But it is interesting that, Francine brought up Jawbone, just this layoff, and it's 5%
Right.
of the workforce, which I didn't know what that number was. But I think it's interesting because maybe this is going to start hitting product-based companies. But, it also, you just had Path sell, and I don't know what the
Yeah.
terms were either, but that
Yeah.
was a beloved service by many. And, again, you had somebody who, is very smart at the helm, and they were early on one of the
Veteran.
most incredible
Right.
mobile experiences
Yeah.
within an app, I think is great. And they couldn't get their headway into the US. They had a lot of exposure in the Asian markets, and they ended up selling to like the number one Asian text company or something. I can't remember what Daequan, I can't pronounce it, does, but I think that's interesting. Is you're going to
But
start to
the
see like,
number-
gaining traction and eyeballs in the States.
Yeah.
Can you actually take your service outside and make headway in different regions?
Well, you probably can, but since we don't know how much the Path got bought for, we
Right.
don't know if it was, really anything more than paying back the investors, or maybe even not.
Well,
Right.
it sounds like there were a couple tweets last week that some of the investors didn't even sound like they knew this was happening. So I don't know. I don't want to get into all those details either, but I do think that it's going to be an interesting time for the market. And yes, we have unicorns like Airbnb and Uber and some of these companies that are privately held and valued more than $1 billion, and it's a short time to success, which is amazing. I don't feel the pressure. Again, I'm not working at a startup anymore. I went inside a brand 2 years ago, so I don't feel that pressure, right? But I have an entrepreneurial husband, and we're trying to raise money, and I don't feel like the money's totally dry either. So I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping it doesn't happen. I'm sure something's going to happen, but I think it's, is it just going to be media play? Is it actually products and services are going to take a hit?
Well,
we're all scrambling
the money that doesn't exist is not the money Chris needs. Chris's money is first round money, like
Right.
seed money. There's
And
a
that
lot
money,
of
there's
that.
a lot of that. Yeah.
There's
Right.
a lot of
Or
that.
so they say. Hey, Mary, what do you hear about Path? Did you hear anything about it? Mary Hodder.
Mary may be frozen.
Is she frozen? Shake her.
Oh, there
Mary,
she is.
Mary.
Yeah.
Defroster. Okay.
Mary, did you
Okay,
hear that question?
Question is it froze?
Okay. Hallie, can you repeat your question? Oh, goodness.
What have
Okay.
you heard about Path?
What have I heard about Path?
No. What did you hear about Path? Can you hear me? Path, yeah.
PATH?
Yes.
I haven't heard that much about it. I mean, God, I'm trying to think. I remember talking about it with some people like 2-3 weeks ago, and
Visual aid.
sorry, it's completely like. Let me think about it for a minute, because I can't remember what it was.
Think about it. It's good.
Okay. I'm not sure that Mary's audio is doing great, but okay.
So much has
going
happened
in
in
and
the
out.
interim that I'm forgetting like what some people told me. Anyway,
Okay.
I did want to say though that I looked up Doc Searles quotes a number of 25% of the American public from AdBlocker Plus. And now I get that it's in their own best interest to tout that figure, but they're the ones that put out the 15% 18 months ago. And so, it's climbing, in other words.
Right,
More
it's
people-
climbing, and it's going to make trouble for media companies.
Right.
Is that on mobile or on desktop or both or neither or not
Anybody who
differentiated?
uses an ad blocking protocol software, something, anywhere, could be your
And I
tablet.
gotta
could be
imagine
your-
that's mostly desktop because very few
Yeah.
people have been able to crack the mobile net with regards to advertising,
That's
right?
what I thought.
So
Yeah.
I can't even give you an example of somebody who does great mobile ads yet.
No, I don't. You don't really see mobile ads except downloads. App download ads,
Mhm.
that's about it.
I mean, you have sponsored ads
on
inside of
games.
like Instagram
Games.
and some of these other
Games.
apps, but I don't
Yeah.
consider that real
Right.
advertising. I don't think they're spending a ton of money to do that. I could be
Right.
completely wrong, but
Right.
it's not innovative in that respect, right? So
Right.
but again, I'm actually, as a consumer and also somebody who's pushing a brand or a service, I'm actually excited about us having to be forced to have these conversations and get away from click to buy.
Yeah.
There's gotta be some driver for innovation. If it means that we have to take a hit in the short term to ensure that we get out of our comfort zone to start driving better experiences and accessibility to people so that we can sell our products and wares, then I'm all for it.
Well,
I say
it seems
that.
like
I had a
employed,
question.
and I get that.
Can you guys hear me?
yeah,
Yeah.
we can hear you.
I had been watching, because I hurt my knee, needless to say, a lot of Netflix and Amazon and watching stuff. And I'm watching and noticing a lot of interesting ads. And like, have you seen on Seinfeld and what he's doing, Comedians with Coffee, with advertising there, very much product placement and almost making fun of it. And so there's that. But I also keep seeing there's a new station I was watching and they just interrupted the show and you had to watch an ad to keep going. And, that was like, "Arr." And, every time I look at YouTube, if there's an ad, I silence it before I watch whatever YouTube I was trying to watch.
Well,
What do
the
you guys
new-
think?
The new thing in the ad tech industry is sponsored content, otherwise known as native ads.
I know.
And it can mean a lot of different things. But for instance, Leo Laporte's network and John Gruber's Daring Fireball and a lot of the tech blogs have advertising and they're read by the host. The host, tries
Right.
it, and the host, it's like a product placement. The host tries it, the host likes it, the host
Right.
accepts the advertising, and the host reads the ad and talks about it.
And that's like
old radio
1955.
This
radio,
almost
it's-
reminds me of ads, from the soap opera days of early soap
Literally.
opera, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a little reminiscent of that. And
It's
I
exactly
think
like
we
that.
also are seeing some more services that are providing this click to buy kind of thing. We started to almost talk about this in our last show of being able to shop in Yelp, and that's going to be a new, I guess, a new feature. I don't know how widespread it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to involve. I can't imagine it's going to involve everybody, but there's going to be a certain amount of, push a button. Ooh, there's a kitty.
Oh my
Push a
God.
button.
This is what men think about women in tech, that it's cat pictures.
That's
What can I
okay.
say?
We
Sorry
we
about that.
we love our animals.
We just gave the cat some drugs, and that makes him. It's like amphetamines. It makes him super hyper, and he's freaking out right now. So
Oh.
that's why I picked him up.
So
that a new
it's probably
sugar?
necessary that he's on her lap so that he calms down.
Yeah.
So what are we seeing in this click to buy ad? Different type of ad placement, products being featured in. I mean, we've seen this in movies for a long time, right?
Well, Yelp is getting a buy button, and Google is now going to let you buy from
Right.
through search. I mean, this is like the worst or direct advertising. You know what I mean? It's like it's pay for performance advertising,
Yeah.
and it's just going to drive revenues for anyone who isn't Google through the floor. I mean,
Can I
it's-
tell you guys a story of how I bought something last week? And this is the worst advertising path. People would probably want to scream over it. But of course, I buy a lot of books. I like to read a lot. So you guys, can you see this? Yeah, that's my Kindle. That's the Kindle screen. And so, oops, that's my weather on my Kindle. I meant to show you something else. Okay, so I bought, I can't tell if you can see this. It's so weird. The Wright Brothers. There it is.
Oh, I've got that downloaded on my Audible.
It's really good, but I want to tell you how I bought it, which is so weird. I read a Twitter tweet that says, the New York Times best summer books is all white guy writers, and here's some other alternatives. And I click the New York Times white guy reader list, which is terrible. I should be all about the other kind, right? And then I'm like, wow, this is a great list. And one of the things on it's the Wright Brothers. I'm like, yeah. And so I click it, and then I go bought it. Of course, I buy it on my Kindle, and I buy a lot of stuff on my Kindle. But this is like, I'm sure no publisher wants to know that's how I ended up at it. Like people complaining about the list that they got
Well, that's
on or
right.
whatever.
The path,
Well-
and that's the problem that advertisers have. The path to purchase is so obscure.
It is, yeah.
You just can't tell who's buying what and why.
Or I either do something completely odd like that, or it's complete word of mouth. If somebody tells me about it, although what I then tweeted about the book is it's the best book for entrepreneurs I've ever read. Have you started it?
No, not yet. I'm reading Season of the Witch, which is the history of San Francisco in the 60s.
Wow, that sounds awesome.
And I have to finish that first. See, I get my books from, again, listening to Leo Laporte, who is sponsored and has been since the very beginning by Audible. And Leo reads his own, he reads his own commercials, and he just surfs around the net looking
So-
for interesting books. And when he mentions one, if it sounds good to me, I buy it.
Well, listen to, again, talk about a convoluted path.
Path to purchase, right.
And it's sort of like a digital word of mouth that is
Right.
what's happening. And it's just so complicated. I know about Ancestry.com for two reasons. I know, thanks to Christy, thank you. And my older sister is a complete, ancestry freak. What is that stuff called you guys do?
Genealogy, family history.
Genealogy, whatever it is. Yeah, because I'm completely not interested in it. Sorry, but it's true. But
That's
so
right.
out of those two unusual connections, I found
Oh, how
a
can
lot.
you say that?
Okay,
So
I didn't
interested
say
you
that.
Can't remember the term.
The what?
Oh,
so
I
just interested. You can't remember the term.
I always think
Yeah.
it's like hieroglyphics or something. What is it? Whatever.
Sorry, go
Anyway,
ahead.
so that's again like you are looking at. I wish I could use the word fragmented or scattered in terms of what kind of market people have, how you approach people. I mean, I definitely will say when I read a book on my Kindle and there's another book that they recommend or somebody's talking about, I will go boom and I'll get it. I'm really, really like this is like point of purchase. I'm standing there like at the cash
So you're-
register.
you're
You grab
finding-
chocolate. I'm like get the next one, get the next one, get the next one.
So you it works for you when it says, people who bought this also like this.
I will read that. But if it's an author who has another book, the more likely path is, except I've read like every David McCullough book, what's the guy Adams? That guy.
John Adam.
John
Second
Adams.
President number 2. That book, of course, was amazing. His 1776, all the battles that happened that year, incredible. So I'm crazy for him. I
You're a
read
family history geek and you don't even know it.
what?
Exactly.
I
How
know
true.
I am. I love it. And the Panama Canal I read the Brooklyn Bridge. He's written so many beautiful books. So anyway, and of course right back here I have hiding my Doris Kearns Goodwin. Yay, Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah, but see, that's only books. That's not other things. Suppose I were Philadelphia, just for argument's sake, Philadelphia cream cheese. You know, that's the same thing all advertisers. The big question for all advertisers is, how do I reach this consumer? This consumer is mobile. This consumer
Right.
runs an ad blocker or whatever. You know, how do I reach this consumer?
It's a very difficult scenario of how to answer that. I find it really interesting to watch my 19-year-old how he buys stuff, and since I get to pay for a lot of it, I get a chance to look at it and see what he's up to. And you think we're talking about a random way of doing things. His is really random. And there's very limited brand loyalty, I think. He doesn't give a shit. And even my husband buys very
Girls
differently from me.
But
Yeah,
there was
women do.
that was part of, I don't know if that was part of Mary Meeker's report, but there was definitely something I've read recently that it talked about the loyalty side of the house from millennials versus maybe my generation as well, right? Where I actually, to a fault, am loyal. And I'll say that, like, whether it's an airline or it's something else, like will continue, even though they'll abuse me as a customer, will continue to use their service because I
That
feel
would be
a sense of
called
loyalty.
the airlines.
Right, but I think
Really?
there's so many people nowadays, they won't, because there's so many options and so many places for you to go. And while I have those same options, I was brought up a certain way, right? It's like, okay, we're going to keep going to that company left and right. But I think that it is coming down and Francine, I love that you used Philadelphia cream cheese, right? Because it's easy if you have a sexy brand and you can promote it, right? And you can do fun things with it. But there's a lot of brands that aren't sexy. They're practical products or things like this. And
Right.
I think it's going to be
I
interesting.
think you could probably do a lot of fun things with cream
Are
cheese.
you kidding? Recipes, cocktails. I think there's a bunch of stuff you can do with
Oh,
that.
yeah,
but-
of course. Yeah.
Well,
You
you know the song Philadelphia. If I had bought the song Philadelphia on Amazon, I would consider the cream cheese, but otherwise, no.
But I think that's where it's contextual
Kidding.
marketing. I think it's where it's experiential marketing. I think that's why even somebody like Amazon, who's done an amazing job of the people who bought this have also either looked at this or bought this, they're turning a whole news feed into more Pinterest style feeds because people are realizing they're really visually stimulated, and that's how we are kind of being reactionary. And I think that's not just women, it's men too, right? And so I think that it's interesting that I feel like everybody's starting to do the same, but there's still some people that are calling out. And I just want to say one case study I think is good, just real quick. I think just saw a video. I don't know if you guys saw it. I'll share it on the wall because I actually think it's really brilliantly done. And we've talked about BuzzFeed and their videos a couple weeks ago. And for better or for worse, they actually are killing it on some of the videos they're putting out. And I watched a commercial the other day, not really realizing I realized it was a commercial, but watching through it, you're just like, this is a cute story and it's a great
native advertising.
It's about a guy adopting a puppy, and it ended up being for Purina Food, puppy chow. And I thought that the placement of the product was so minimal with regards to the experience I was having with the quote unquote ad that I'm like, that's awesome. Like, I thought that's job well done. And honestly, when I'm walking down the supermarket and I see their product, I'm like, I might be tempted to buy that.
Native advertising. That is what native advertising is supposed to be.
And you guys have seen the Seinfeld thing where he's got the Acura cars and he makes fun of, like, is that like the product placement car? Is it that one with the? It's so the other end of it. Like, you're supposed to have it just seem like, whatever. What was it? E.T. had those little things like Reese's Pieces,
M&Ms.
or whatever
Reese's
he had.
Pieces,
like that sort of came from outer space or whatever, or from Earth, whatever. But it was all like very natural. So of course, like the ultimate meta advertising, meta product placement is Seinfeld making fun of it with, walking down the street. You guys have seen the show, right? Are you watching that?
Yeah.
It's pretty
Yeah,
great.
I've seen it. I don't watch it regularly, but I've seen it.
There was the interview, and he said he had tried to pitch that show to all the regular people, HBO, nobody would do it. And then this Crackle network did it. And he says I forgot who interviewed him. He's like, what do you got to do to, like, get picked up? Who do you got to be? Like, you got to be Seinfeld? And I can't even get funded. Like, what? So, but it's pretty
They're
great.
sorry now.
Exactly.
It depends on how many viewers he has. They may not be sorry at all. One interesting thing I learned about BuzzFeed is that they recently invested a crap ton of money in a news bureau and news staff, and they took people from everywhere and they built this big organization. and only 17% of its traffic is news. That is all.
Yeah.
Well, and
Everything.
even
I think we talked about this recently, a
News.
couple, maybe it's been a month ago. I mean, but they bought like 100 acres or some crazy amount of land in LA and built it out just for video studios. I mean, I think here's the thing is not many companies can afford to do that, right? Not many companies can do a high quality video like this Purina puppy chow video was, because I'm like, I bought in, I thought it was great, right? I don't even have a dog, and I'm like, oh, I should go get a dog so I can then make a big cute video.
They
I
sold her a
wanted
dog, is
dogs.
what they
So
did.
stupid sometimes the way I react. But
I hate
I
dogs.
think I'm an
I
informed
wanted a dog
user.
this week. So, and why? Because PBS did an amazing special. I'll send you guys the link, put it on our page, of why dogs evolved into being able to connect with us and communicate with us, and that they tested wolves versus dogs. Did you guys see this thing? It was awesome.
No,
And,
but
like,
I definitely want to see it now. I have
it was
5
so good.
dogs.
Dogs, literally, they did research to show that dogs look right in your eyes, but wolves will not. Wolves don't give a shit what you do. Also, dogs, if you point to a puppy like to the left or the right, there's a bowl that's overturned in this experiment and there's food under one. And the woman who doesn't even know this puppy, right? It's just a woman, and she points to a bowl. The dog will look at her eyes and then look at the pointing and go and look under the bowl. And that over many,
We've
many
learned
years,
how to communicate.
that over genetically what they
Yeah.
did was they were wolves. They have determined genetically, that's for sure.
Wh-
But it was the wolves who were not aggressive and who loved and empathized with the master. They became the breed.
They bred them. That's right. And
They
they bred
bred
So
them.
Hallie just proved cats are not descended from wolves.
I knew that. Except that one that walked by. Wow, that
Well,
was scary.
I
What
will,
was
I
that?
will share this with you. It's not tech, but yesterday, as I'm driving, turning onto my street, I look a little bit further and I see something, and I was like, ooh, what's that? I drive a little bit further, it's a coyote.
What?
So I get up close, and she or he turns around, looks at me, walks a few feet, turns around, looks at me again, walks a few feet, turns around, looks at me again, and then sort of disappeared into the bushes. And I thought, huh, wow. And you know, I hear them around here enough, and I go and I turn my car around to go, because I kind of went a little bit out of my way and I had to go back up my street. And I turned my car around and I saw it go back across the street again. And I was like, oh boy. And then I
I've
went to the
seen
bushes, and then I
coyotes
heard a
on
lot of
Main
animal sounds in there. So I was like, ah.
You're totally
Scary.
frightening me. I'm freaking.
Yeah, but I've
out.
seen coyotes on city streets in Phoenix. They're coming down out of where they
Yeah.
hung out because of the drought.
Well,
And
and then,
also because, people
Yeah.
leave garbage out.
but
So-
this, and my point here was, and not much of a point, but
Rodents.
the coyote definitely looked at me. He looked at me, wanted to know what I was doing. What was
Well,
was I
I
making
don't-
trouble
I don't
for
know.
him or what?
I don't know if a coyote and a wolf are related. I have no comment on that.
I think that they might be somewhat related. They
the,
look
the
kind of
person we
close
want on
to-
the show to discuss all this is Oliver Starr,
Mhm.
who raises wolves and, to get us back to tech, appears at tech conferences. He
Ooh.
has a wolf that he has domesticated and raised. He used to work for TechCrunch. And
Ah,
so he goes around to all these conferences and shows off this wolf whose name is AccuTag. Find AccuTag on Facebook if you're Oliver Starr's friend.
There you go. So, Mary, awfully quiet today.
yes.
I have to get a word in edgewise. You guys are just yakking. Can't get in.
There you go. It's all yours. I'm not pulling off of you.
Well, let's see. I went camping 2 years ago in the Sierras off of Route 108, and I went down to the creek, which was like 20 feet from the campsite, and sat and watched 2 coyotes for an hour while they just hung out at the water. It was very nice. They looked right at us, and
Mm-hmm.
they weren't too worried, and they just were there to water. It was
Yeah.
nice.
They don't worry too much about people. They're cautious, but not really fearful.
I mean, they could have hopped right over the creek. It was only about 10 feet wide and, not real deep, and been over there, but they didn't really care. They were really cool.
So who are the coyotes in our tech industry today?
Is that like cougars?
Hey, Apple announced a streaming media service.
Okay.
Let's just talk for a minute about
Okay,
that.
dígame, what's going on?
Hey, you're the one who started unbuttoning your shirt. Okay, so
That's coming.
yes, let's talk tech.
Okay, so Apple launched another streaming music service, and it's going to offer curated channels, and they're trying to get, are you ready for this? Q-Tip or Dr. Dre to host. And it's going to cost, of course, $10
I think it's
a month.
interesting based
To
on
host it.
Jay-Z's recent, I'm not going to say successful launch of Tidal, right? And his attempt to go after the Spotify market. And, you've got Pandora, who, was started, years and years and years ago and had been doing very good. And, I don't know what their subscriber base looks like now, but, I actually still subscribe, which is interesting.
Yep.
And I actually, pay for some other services too, because each one brings different little things to me. But it's interesting to see Apple get into the market because they just did the radio play and they're looking at keeping the customer contained in that environment.
Oh,
Right?
I'll say
Because they're
they are.
realizing all these other businesses are making money on services that they should be providing, which are natural for us to tie into.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how successful it is.
In the meantime, Spotify now offers podcasts and fitness, running, aids or whatever, fitness aids,
In video, right?
special
Isn't there some video?
playlists for fitness and, fitness tracking and all kinds of things. So they're all, I just don't know if any of these models are really sustainable. They
Well, I
keep
think it's going to come down to form over function, and I'll tell you this, like I stuck with Pandora.
What do you
early
mean
one, because
form
they were
over
early
function?
on, but two, because it was an easy interface. When Spotify first came out, I was like, what the hell am I supposed to do? Right? It was actually so many features and so much to do that I didn't even want to give it a try.
I agree.
For me, the interesting thing about Apple is you got to know it's going to be simple, it's going to be easy to use, one-click interface to buy and get that all integrated in. So I don't know. I think that there's a market, obviously, for this, but I think it's going to come down to form over functionality and what your preference is.
Or function over form, the one that does what you want it to do and is the easiest to use.
That's why people still use Google Plus over Facebook, because for them, it gives them the photo and the video option in a beautiful way versus kind of the convoluted feature mess of Facebook. So it's, you're always going to use what makes the most benefit for you. And, I'd be willing to pay for it to see if it actually provides the services that I want.
Isn't
And
it
see,
also
everyone's
where
business mo-
your friends are?
How social is the music for you? Yeah, are you using it in a social sort of way, or is it pretty much a singular, more independent way when you're streaming?
It's actually interesting. Pandora is something that I might share a station with a handful of friends, right? If they're asking what I'm listening to, I might send them or recommend artists and all this too. But I don't do a lot of social engagement through Pandora. But all of my Spotify friends share their playlists all the time. And that's the only real reason I get pulled into Spotify is because somebody's put together a really great playlist. And my he does this before South by Southwest all the time, and he's always incredible. But it's through Spotify, and I have to go back to Spotify. But I feel like that platform kind of encourages you to do that a lot more than some of the
I think it demands that you do that. That's exactly why I don't use it, because every time I see I'm playing on Spotify, I'm like, well, big deal, fuck you, is what I think.
Well, it just depends on whether you want to discover music, Hallie.
I discover a lot of music, but not. I just feel like I have a billboard on the highway and it says what I'm listening to.
You know, but
I don't give a shit what you're listening
how
to.
different? Why?
I do,
How different
because
is it
my
that from a
friends
blog
might have
or
good
from
taste
your
in
tweets
music.
or from? I mean,
Okay,
Hallie,
kids,
you
we
tweet
can't
a
all
lot.
talk at the same time.
Yeah, well, so I'll
I
talk.
didn't hear what you said. But
Hallie,
I heard too.
Hallie.
I like Pandora too for the simplicity of it and a simple interface to me. In any arena, always I vote for that. And I always felt Spotify too was like a little complicated. So why? Who uses, I mean, when things are like got a great UI for an engineer who went to MIT and got a PhD, F you. Like, could you just,
Wait, I'm an English major. I use Spotify.
you're too geeky. You're,
What about you,
What
Mary?
do you use?
What do you do? You've muted yourself, I think.
Mary!
So over us today, it's funny.
I know.
have different places where people recommend music. Sometimes it's my living room, and sometimes it's online. And like actually, Tom Conrad, who was the CEO or CTO of Pandora, just had his 5th anniversary, and he posted about it. And you know, I still have he and Kate's engagement playlist in my iTunes thing. I mean, it's like, you know, I mean, there's certain people, Tom has really good taste in music, but I have to say, I don't like Pandora, because if I want to listen to a song, I'll go put it in, and then halfway through the damn song, they're changing it. And Spotify is really complicated, and I don't give a shit. I mean, I don't care what anyone else is listening to. Like, I don't
Thank
want to see
you.
that in my feed. I don't care. I mean, you know, there's certain people who have really good taste in music, and the rest of the time I listen to ambient music, you know, and that's cool.
It's interesting to me because I think music offers us this like really great opportunity to be super social, and I think it's not there yet.
Yeah.
I mean, I've experienced this myself, and I've talked to other people about it, and you know, I guess a few people are sort of into it in that social way, but it's just I think it hasn't hit the right chord yet.
Well, social, it's all only here now. I remember when it was social, I would go to a party. I had my 45s. We put them on the thing. We dance. That was social. Music.
Well, that still happens, and this, you know, I mean, you know, people are still going to concerts, people are still dancing to music and having fun, but I think, you know, there's a great opportunity to do, you know, social sharing with music, and it's just it just hasn't happened yet. I don't think people have come up with quite the right formula to make us, because we should. I mean, why wouldn't we? We're social with everything else.
I do. I socially
Yeah, but I
share
want to be
music.
social in person around music. It's like 2 Friday nights ago, and Nina showed up at 8 o'clock. Ed and I were making drinks, and we, you know, she was like, you know, let's dance. So we put 4 laptops in the living room. We played all the songs we liked from MTV's first year, and then put the lyrics on and did karaoke. And and we didn't need any special machines other than our laptops, and we had a really great time, and we did it for 3.5 hours till 11:30. We totally collapsed, skipped dinner, had 1 drink, and went to bed.
Wow.
That was
Yeah, but you don't
But
live
that's
with
kind of rare.
dogs.
What's that?
You have to have people in your house
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
What if you are me and you live with dogs?
Well, Mary's got a virtual hotel,
Yeah,
I-
exactly.
B&B for sure.
Yeah, we have someone coming tomorrow and someone coming for a month on Wednesday. And then Hallie's coming the next week, right, Hallie?
Well, maybe if I can walk, but that's another matter. I get all my music from my
I have another friend
19-year-old, by the
for-
way. I steal all his stuff that he downloads that I have to pay for. Or there's really good music like on skateboard YouTube videos.
Ooh.
There too.
It's like or for example, actually on NPR there are certain news shows where they
Right.
play really good music as the end piece, and they only play it once, but they always list it on the site.
And you go buy it.
You're like driving around, you hear this great piece of music, you jam in and, you know, pick it up on the site, and then, you know, grab it from the internet, and there you got it, you know. Or another place that has had, so Grace and Frankie, that show had really good music on it.
Mhm.
There's a new show called Steve, what's that called? Aquarius. And-
David Duchovny one.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's got some pretty
Oh,
great
that's
music
something
from
I-
the 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like you get music from all these places and
Yes.
different people, and it's just I have to say I find it incredibly dissatisfying, generally speaking, to be alone working on my stuff and then get like music recommendations. It's like that is not rocking out for me.
Yeah,
But if I've got people here and where I'm in a meeting, like I'm not going to bring music or want music because we're busy. But if if it's social time, then I'm not on my computer. Like we're with a bunch of people in a room. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I don't particularly feel like, Spotify or other social services are all that helpful. It's like,
Well, I think where their benefit would be, though, Mary, is that not that you like. For me, I think I've always loved, and this is I know Spotify does it too, but I'm gonna reference Pandora because I use them all the time. So, for me, I always loved the ability of hearing one song, putting the name of the artist in there or whatever that might be, and then them recommending similar songs, styles, and artists. And for me, that was such an incredible like recommendation engine and discovery engine that's the part that I actually love the most because I'll be working away and usually have the music up pretty loud when I'm at home. And I love being able to discover that. But I do notice when I'm home, I'm actually not listening to Pandora. I've got the TV on and the music channels are on, and that's my discovery zone. And so like
Yep.
you, I think you just take it in wherever you can. And then I use that to build playlists that I can either then share with friends or we just have running in the background in our house. We haven't sung karaoke yet, so I think I need to expand a little bit. But I just think, the beauty is that we have. I'm
What's
coming
that?
over. I'm coming over.
We
Is
want
she
to know.
doing an advertisement?
We want to know what that is.
She's I want to add one.
It's
quick
karaoke
thing.
inducing, is what that is.
Oh,
That my sister just texted me or mentioned that I watch a lot of shows too where I hear great music like Treme. Did you guys watch the Treme series?
Yes.
And it's all amazing NOLA jazz. But we're coming around again to the fact that we're like an ad guy's nightmare. Like how to reach us, where we find.
And we're not even younger.
Huh?
We're not even younger. The Spotify people, the people who use Spotify are all much younger than I am. And to be truthful, I get a lot of music off of Spotify because I want to know what people are listening to. It's culturally interesting to me.
Okay.
I may not find that Skrillex is what I want to listen to, but
That's for sure.
I definitely want to sample it. And so I sampled it and I like it a lot. Which you would not think that I would. But also, some of my yoga teachers put their playlists on Spotify.
Okay.
And when I'm working and I want ambient music, as Mary would say, or whoever said it, I often use the playlists from various yoga teachers that I really like, who have great music. And I stream it off Spotify.
You're very young and social. You're like, come on. You're like,
What is Steve saying?
no, you're like 20 compared to the rest of us. We're just
What?
a bunch of old farts,
I'm trying to get a teenager in here to let us know how she
Oh, Steve's
finds
calling
her
for
music.
Yeah.
So bear with me. I'm gonna go to close up because she's gonna have to come in. Come in, please. Come in, please. You're being requested. I'm requesting some information from you. It's important. Come on. No one can see you over here, so you have to come this way. Come on. Okay. All right.
Hi.
Hey.
This is Ella Gilmore.
Hi,
Okay,
Ella Gilmore.
Ella, we're just talking about, so here we are. We're just talking about music and how we're finding music. And we want to know, we're talking about how old we were. So some of these things aren't working. How are you finding your music? Because I find my music through her. And I'm finding music through her, but I would need to know how she's finding her music. So you tell me how you find your best music.
I use this app called 8 Tracks, and it's also a website, and you can put in like tags for the kind of music you like that people will make playlists for. So you could put in like alternative plus like happy or something like that, and then you would find all the playlists that people have used those 2 tags with. And
Cool.
And do you
yeah.
and does it work for you? I mean, does
Yeah.
does that really
That's where I
you
found all of my
discover?
music. I don't
Do you
I don't think
Shazam?
I've listened to the radio since like I was like 7.
Yeah, no, you
I
don't
don't-
listen to
But
the radio.
what about Pandora? Pandora does somewhat the same thing. How come you use 8 tracks?
I don't know. I just never used Pandora before. And
Hey,
I
Ella.
think 8 tracks you find more unique artists and like people that aren't as well known. So you're kind of discovering your own music and not just like what's on the charts exactly.
And Spotify, no?
I just use 8 tracks and
Awesome.
it
I'm
leads
gonna
me
have to
to
check it out.
everything.
I'm curious, Ella, for you too. Do you ever like watch a TV show or anything like that and want to get the songs off of that? Because I've done that before now, where I'm actually Shazamming TV show music. I don't know if you do that as well.
Not exactly TV shows, but like I know what you're talking about with the whole Shazam thing. Like if I'm in a store and I hear the music, I'll do like the little thing on my phone, and that's actually how I found like a couple of like my favorite songs at the moment. So
That's cool.
There you
There
are on
you
a
have
split
somebody
screen right
much
there.
younger
So
than us.
you gotta
With
move the opposite.
Shazam, if you hear it and they name it, can you click and buy it?
Yeah, you can.
There's an
Yeah.
Apple iTunes.
That I assume that. I can't remember how it works, so.
There's
Yeah,
an
Hallie, if
integration.
you just click it and Shazam finds it for you, there's a click, like you can buy it right now and it goes straight into your Apple iTunes.
Okay, that's what I would assume, and I know how it works, but I don't use it, so.
What do you want to know about
What's
Chet
your
Baker?
favorite artist?
what?
Who's your favorite artist
Bless
right
you,
now?
Francine.
At the moment, Chet Faker.
Chet Faker.
Yeah,
Cool.
he's really
My
awesome.
Funny Valentine.
What?
My Funny Valentine. Chet Baker.
Oh,
Let's
well,
Get Lost.
So Chet Faker is this new artist who's like
Yeah,
he-
but
he-
I think
it's-
she's saying is that the song? Is that the song?
yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
by
I
Chet
thought she
Baker.
said Chet Baker.
Oh, yeah.
Chet Faker.
So, okay,
Yeah.
here's what it says on the
Okay.
8 Tracks website. Thank you, Ella. I always like to know this stuff. Internet radio created by people, not algorithms. Choose a theme or genre to start discovering new music. Play me some chill, indie, summer, love, electronic, happy, alternative, whatever. That's really interesting. It's a
I
completely,
like that.
yeah, but it's got, it's called the best music app.
Yeah.
It's a great way to know you could just use tags.
Right.
Well, since Ella is out of school for the summer, we'll be calling her in for the teenager features. She didn't know
We
she was
need
going
that.
to be
We'll
asked
have
to
all
do this. So.
generations covered. This is fantastic.
Damn, that would be awesome.
Okay. All right. Well, we're very close to wrapping this up. So, Ella, hang on one second. Let me change that. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Thank you, honey.
But I actually think that that's an interesting point you just brought up too, Francine or Tina, because I think we feel like we're really in tune with what's going on in the tech scene, and then there just takes a 2-second conversation with somebody like Ella to realize just how I'm not.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
I'll send my
I
son
know.
to your house. It does the same thing. It's very effective.
Right. Right.
went to
Well,
see,
and that's how I get my music. I mean, and that's the best way. It's always been that way. You go to your older sister or your older brother or your kid. I mean, those are the people who inform our musical tastes, I think. If I left it up to my mother, it would be a real problem.
Well,
You know,
here's a playlist. I put in Study plus Mumford and Sons, and I've got an indie folk playlist.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty
that's
good, huh?
cool.
All
And
right.
this ties back to all niche communities, right? And Hallie, you just called it out. I love that it's actually using tags because I think that's intentional. So it says, I want other people who like this to
Right.
find this music. And I think
Micro
we're kind of
communities.
coming full circle around where we use tags so heavily. Like I remember when Flickr was so innovative because I could
Right.
tag it and make sure that other people who liked that found it. And while the hashtag has gotten some adoption on places like Twitter and even Google Plus, like Facebook hates it, right? But I love that there's other
really can't
services that are
believe
helping you do
Facebook
that.
doesn't use it as much.
No.
And I can't believe the traffic I get on Twitter when I just remembered to do, like, there's a song by Noah and the Whale. It's like
Right.
the Aussie band, or this other Two Shoes is this Aussie band that I like. If I put Aussie and Sunny, right, because they do a lot of beachy music, people will pull these over like months and months. Like I find that something comes up and I'm like, who doesn't use hashtags? I have literally corrected people who do brand shit for big brands. And I say, don't you mean hashtag and then the thing they're talking about. It's like it has no legs without the hashtag.
Yeah, but a lot of brands use too many hashtags in a tweet, and it's just ridiculous. They've got
a lot don't.
Well, the
use it at
hashtag is,
all.
hasn't the hashtag gotten kind of bastardized? I mean,
I think
people
it has,
use it
but I
for
still
cute
think-
comments, really.
Right.
if you use it the right way.
Right, and I
What's
think that there's
the
still
right
power
what's
in
the
tag.
right way though? I mean
I'm gonna make I'll
the first way?
Meow, meow.
The
put
second
it
way?
I'll put it online.
Well, I think that there's still power in that intentional tagging. And I think that's one thing that Facebook is really wholly reliant on algorithms, artificial intelligence to actually help us connect those dots. And I still think that the system has so far to go that it still needs to use some of that intentional human tagging to ensure that certain things are found. I mean, I find so many great photos through Instagram because I follow somebody's hashtag, right? And sometimes I go down a black hole and I'm like, get me out. But there's other times I go through and I'm like, God, there's some amazing photographers and some amazing shots out here. And I guess I miss that intentionalism, right? Because it's helping me connect with something that I'm pretty passionate about.
Right.
Intentional serendipity.
Before you wind this down, Tina, I just want to say micro communities.
Yeah, again, yes. Micro communities. Okay. Well, speaking of which, I don't know. But so it's about that time and someone had a hard stop because someone has to make dinner or something like that.
I do, but I wanted to know if we're going to talk about the Trivago guy. And no, we never talk about him. What?
What
Who
Trivago guy?
and what? Who and what? What do you,
You
want
don't
to say?
know about this?
The travel guy.
I was just kidding, but you don't know about him?
I mean, I've seen Trivago ads. I hate them.
Why?
Okay.
I just hate them. They're non sequiturs.
What specifically are you talking about?
I'm teasing.
Oh,
It's
forget-
nothing. I put it up on G3 and we can talk about it in another show. And I
Okay.
do have to go.
Okay.
It is 7:00. It's like grown-up nighttime here.
Yeah. Okay.
It's late. It's not California Beach fun time. It's friggin' East Coast 7:00. Where's the dinner time?
Where's the meat and potatoes? Put 'em on the table.
And it's freezing. We're having hot kale soup.
Yeah, it's called
So-
chilly weather. When it gets like
Like
that,
I
I
hear
make
it-
chili. Okay.
Well, I didn't make any chili. So, but
right,
I am
ladies.
freezing.
It's
Bye.
interesting. Monday is a little different for us. I'm glad we gathered so that we didn't have to miss this week because I miss you all too much if that happens. Thank you very much to Ustream. We stream live and record G3 almost every week using Ustream services. Thank you to Ustream and to New Tech and their lovely TriCaster, without which I could not do all this. Push buttons. And thank you, Mary Hodder. Thank you, Hallie Suit Tucker. Francine Hardaway, thank you so much. And Christy Wells. Oh, goodness. I did that without being on the right.
That's okay.
Thank you, Mary Hodder, Hallie Suit Tucker, Francine Hardaway, and Christy Wells. Wow.
I'm waving.
It's Monday, I can tell. Okay.
The Queen way.
The Queen is waving us on. How lovely. All right, ladies. Until next time, thank you very much, and we'll say bye-bye.
Bye bye.